Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Now, one thing I like to say is that somehow me moving through the United States to different communities is me, quote unquote, running. And in actuality, cops have related in the mind that when they move to the next community to do this, they represent that I'm a fugitive of justice, that I'm a fugitive of an investigation. Again, using personal uh, hates and dislikes along with professional jargon that has cursed the nation and will continue to curse the nation. When in fact, they are a fugitive from justice, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. They are a criminal enterprise. How have officers told me? Through God's network of the mind. Oh, then it's not real. Well, then why is it real? If it's not real, then why is it real? If it isn't true, then why is it true? Because you all work for Satan, and you will call evil good and good evil. I'm on my Sound Blaster G3. It's still an amazing device. Nobody has outdid it for something that's small. One of the nice features is that you can monitor what you're saying, and it has a very nice volume control for that monitor. Most uh, monitoring circuits on something that small does not allow you to crank the volume up like this one does. So that's real nice. Sound Blaster G3 is about the best you're going to get. It should have more microphone control, such as maybe a compressor and a noise gate, and they could charge twice as much, and people would be happy. They'd break into a new market, is what they would do. People complain about this uh, microphone circuit. It's well enough. I mean, digital quality. It's well enough. It just doesn't have anything available to adjust the sound. And a lot of times, if you're going into a circuit that isn't, you know, something that's well as far as features, as far as quality, then it downgrades. And I think that's where a lot of people made their complaints on this particular device. However, I would say that it's definitely a quality device. It doesn't have noise cancellation. So if it had noise cancellation, a noise gate, and actually, if they would take the processing, you know, change it a little bit, but on the headphone side, this is designed for, you know, gaming and music and all of that. It's listening pleasure, like I guess they call it a DAC or a DAC. So it does well enough to say that it's quality equipment. I mean, it's so lightweight, it's plastic. It's like one of those weird things. Years ago, there was a guy that disappeared. And back then, I had no clue what something like that would be. You know, they inferred that it was the music industry or the digital industry that attacked him. He had he was some semi-famous. I forget what his claim to fame was. He had a digital compression technology, and it actually might be MP3. And he disappears, and they say, well, some people that were famous said that he had called, and of course they say he's going crazy because they gaslight him and they crazy make him before they disappear him. Even if he disappeared on his own, it's still from what's called spycraft. So that's what's really happening in the world. It's not really crazy making and gaslighting, it's spycraft. And it's designed to kill people, it's designed to steal things from people. It's organized crime. And it's in the police departments and everything else at this point. because those criminal families, their parents are criminals, but they have a clean life and they get in. Nobody, they investigate the parents, they find a lot of crap. Investigate the kids and they look clean, right? That's how they took over law enforcement. Remember I told you when I was a kid, growing up, somebody was a bookie, and they were, everybody was like amazed at how much money they had. And, we weren't a rich neighborhood, but these people were the wealthiest in our neighborhood. They were always doing things to their home, which is really not traceable. I'm sure the contractor took cash and, had a beautiful pool and landscaping. Things inside the home were gorgeous. But, it turns out that they were just a criminal family. So again, this is what happened to law enforcement, these criminal families. Now, the kids weren't criminals. So these criminal families moved into law enforcement and took it over. So that's what we're seeing. And over time, spycraft moved in. So when you look at Trank, when you look at fentanyl, they want to say Biden, yeah, they're all involved. It's all their fault because they have a system that they only do what the system tells them to do or allows them to do. And that system plugs into cartels, sex trafficking, etc. So, when I told you when I was in the Marshal Service, somebody got angry because I said somebody looked like they were mafia. Now, I didn't know Italian from not Italian. I didn't say to the guy, hey, they look Italian. They're mafia. But he was in the Marshal Service, and he was pretty much probably one of the murderers and one of the operators. And he got very angry saying that I was discriminating against Italians. Like, how do I know if they're Italian? They're murderers. That's probably what they are, and you are, and your marshal is, and everybody else operating around here as spies are probably murderers. And yeah, they have a big house somewhere and a big other house somewhere and big cars, but they'll go to hell for it. The same as all of you. Oh no, we're saving people from you. And the idea that they say is not necessarily that it's true, but that's where the system is. Do you understand the difference? I mean, I'm beginning to believe you all are just that far gone. The difference between truth and where the system is. Again, Maimonides tried to explain that, a Jewish rabbi way back when. Truth is the truth. And when I woke up, God gave me independently the idea, truth equals the truth. There's nothing else that's needed. Once you ascribe to the truth equaling the truth, then it manifests. But that has to be done with a certain level of power. And of course, anybody that could do that doesn't believe in the truth, because they're fake judges, fake police officers, fake corporate leaders, fake car salesmen, fake everyone. Again, if you were to wake up, you would wake up and realize this is similar to hell. And these people are devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers. So what I'm doing right now is trying to, again, discredit this planet from actually being Earth and actually being that place that was created by God in the Bible. I've spoken at length on Scripture and how it goes this way and that way through time and space. So when they talk about the Sefer Raziel, Hamelach, you look at it, and it says that it was written a long time ago. It was probably sent a long time ago and received, I guess, in the Middle Ages by Eliezer of Worms or something, or a group of people. So what that's trying to tell you is when it was sent and when it was intended for. So then you see what the mess up is. Now, Jesus may have been in receipt of some of that information. Again, the same idea that Maimonides received and I received. And I don't know if Maimonides called it receiving. I don't know if he believed he was the genius, because he wasn't. God is the genius. On earth, they call us geniuses, but of course, if the system says you're not a genius, then you're not a genius. And no, I didn't start with anybody at any given point through this thing, no matter what they say or what they believe. I actually spent probably 20 years trying to ignore it completely and utterly. Has it gotten worse since I spoke out? No. I've gotten older and the situation changed. Again, spycraft illusion. They spend I'd say they spend 70% of the time trying to convince their victim that it's the victim's fault. Because if they do that, then the metaphysic doesn't kick in. If I take it on myself, and this isn't why I do it, I mean, the truth is the truth, again. But if I take it on myself as it being my fault, I'd be through. And they'd be bigger devils than they are now. This economy could be related to what Trump did. His initial work was what I had designed over about 8 year period, maybe 10 year period before he got, no, about 8 year period before he got his office. Nobody else designed it. Come on. He made millions of dollars off of my stuff. You can see they're laughing now. Ha ha ha, you dupe, you idiot. Sold my information, advised people with my information, and claimed it as their own. That's me hearing myself. Bullshit. I've already showed that I can read. I already showed that I'm like, oh, I'm getting mad. See, they're flipping. They're loopy. What God showed me is their mind. They just went to the next thought. And now I showed you by speaking it up. Anyway, you're the criminal. You're the only criminal here because everybody else were ready to pay for whatever they wanted. So you have to realize they're playing narcotics addicts to do this. And then when they get caught, they go, well, that person's so bad, and they're around narcotics addicts, and we're protecting the narcotics addict, which is a lie. Which is a lie. They could care less, man. That's how they get so callous and really could care less about narcotics addicts. Because they're out there paying narcotics addicts to buy narcotics just to get their criminal enterprise forward. So it's a pretty nice day out today. Yesterday was so muggy. I was looking for other cities that weren't so muggy, and it didn't really turn out well. The only place was like, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and I'm not going back there. Too close to the root of evil. Now they're working on people here, and they're becoming more evil and more evil because what they're getting them to do is commit crimes. And when they commit crimes, they're like every other criminal and every other criminal enterprise. The government criminals then become more callous and more angry and more violent because the truth is that they're the hero. They can't stand to be the truth. They can't stand the truth. Again, the Bible tells it to you, but I'm telling you in a physical way. They're actually saving children. They're not like driving people insane into horrendous crimes and harming children. That's what they want you to believe. When they're actually operating people that break down and harm children. And they go, well, that's their weakness. It's not their weakness. They're very strong. I'm very strong. And I've stood because I didn't do what you say that everybody should do to be part of your criminal enterprise, to be a demon and a devil. Again, when it says God can cause you to stand, where does that stand? Like people in the church go, well, we're standing because we're pure. Well, the Bible tells me that's a sign of an antichrist. A false angel of light, a false minister of righteousness. But what they do is they sell out to the beast, and then that purity comes from them. And now they've arrived. Every single preacher on earth could go to hell. I mean, there's nothing saying that they won't. They're part of a system that will do what I say it does. That's the beast. What you're all saying is the people that you cause to be this outrageous LGBTQ or to be this drug addict or to be this alcoholic is the people that are going to hell. Actually, not. As I said, that's in Ezekiel 34. That was the scripture. And before I knew it, I kept referencing it. And I'm saying, God gives me this Ezekiel 34. And just every time he goes, Ezekiel 34, Ezekiel 34, Ezekiel 34. But that's victim consciousness, right? Right, Republicans? That can't be a good scripture. They're antichrists. Victim consciousness is in the Bible. The Bible is all about victim consciousness. and restorative activity to restore those victims. And they won't do it because they're afraid of who? Of Satan. They're afraid of their system, afraid of losing something. When they actually lost something because they did what I said they did, and the system went into criminal hands. So again, it's the border is actually pretty easy to handle, but you have to bring those judges, like I said, right to the front line. And if they have to wait, then you push them off into a different holding location. Again, military bases, things such as that. Well, every day should be spent with those incoming cases. If you need 100 more judges, then you get 100 more judges. You need judges that are going to adjudicate the case that comes over. Now, of course, the lawyers will argue they need time to argue the case, but there are cases where you can just adjudicate it and they're gone because there's no way to overcome it. Again, there's no defense of certain activity if you have that information. So if you have a solid file and solid information about the person and they need to be deported, then there's no reason to let the attorney argue that he could refute it somehow because he can't or she can't or they can. So my battery was kind of dead. That's why the other devices I use, they require a spare battery. This one doesn't, because it takes more than an Android device to power them. So I just put a little hub on there, and like a 4-port hub with a PD port, and plug the battery in. Well, the case, yeah, there was a case. I know I kind of went back and forth on that case because it didn't flow, but I didn't feel like putting the extra tweet in there to explain it. There's one case. Well, that again having to do with being transgender. That second tweet had something to do with being transgender. So we go to the fact that there may have been a lover somewhere, or just even a sex partner that didn't want to be exposed. And I think there was a case. Well, no, actually, that guy, the case I'm thinking about, the guy, somebody found out, and he just wanted to get rid of her, I guess. But when we think about, people with money, I don't want to victim shame or anything, but, was she selling sex? So you get somebody that's, even a sergeant in the police department, instead of harassing her, he pulls her in the vehicle and, has at it sexually, and then wanted her gone. Hired some thug. And then nobody will know who did it because why? Because a cop. You might have walked by this plate and saw any three die. Did I take a picture of that plate? I have to look through my stuff. It's NE3 D1E. But if you look at it, it says NE3 die in phonetics. No, I was not like a phonetic kind of guy until he did this to me. I didn't see anything, actually. I couldn't see anything. I mean, I had connection to God, so that kind of countered the seeing a little bit. Okay, I'll go back to where I was so you understand. Everybody is possessed on this planet to one degree or another. You're possessed to a body because you're really a spirit, a soul. You're possessed to hate this, to like that. Again, wills moving people this way and that way outside of the will of God. But there are people that partake in that change people. for their own for the projector of the will's personal gain, and through time and space we call those spells, curses, etc. But that's the kind of the illusion. You don't have to spell someone or whammy somebody for your will to affect their life. And now, before you think you've done that, Satan will make you believe it's you when it's not you. Because if your heart doesn't allow you to do that to somebody, you can't. But don't fool yourself either. There's a lot of willful ignorance out there where people actually do that. They go, I wouldn't do that. I'm a member of the whatever it is church. And the word that jumped out at me was allied, the allied churches. They're going to clean up everybody's community but their own, right? And then claim and claim and claim. When one of the, this is how it works. It's like in every community, in police, in churches, in religion. When one of their people get busted, then all of a sudden that's, oh, that guy. And then they point to everybody that they're victimizing. But these people are the same way. So they get it off of their organization and make that person an outsider. When in fact, that's what their insiders are doing, and they're protected by Satan, protected by that criminal enterprise, protected by all of the tow truck here. Allied tow. To not be busted, but every once in a while they get busted. And again, there are limits in some of the organizational things. Well, we don't stand for this. We don't. And that's what happened to Moore. He went over the line. See, it bullshit. What they're doing is akin to brainwashing, but I don't think brainwashing accurately describes what they're doing. So again, your police departments have racists in there, and not even just racists. They might not like your family, and they'll brainwash you all to commit crimes and to do something wrong if they can. It doesn't happen to everybody. And they go, well, if one person didn't have it happen, then they all know. Everybody is a mix of different things happening to them. Right, and you speaking out has caused that mix to increase, right? No. In fact, if I didn't speak out, I'd probably already be dead or comatose in a bed. So that is what it is. And some of the agents are saying, yeah, you speak to me. I hear you. I know it exists. I see your signs when I'm investigating a case. It's not mine, actually. I can't do anything within myself. And if I thought that, I'd be like all of you losers. No, we won. Well, wait till you get to hell. Wait till you get to hell to tell me about that. It's all God's work, God's network. God uses me in that fashion because God chooses to. I don't know. Maybe because it just has to be. So Trank, because obviously it's from Satan, but because what's it called, Naxalone, whatever it is, because it doesn't work against Trank, it could possibly be a physical effort. Because we all of a sudden started fixing that. Well, they want drug addicts dead, but they're the ones that cause drug addicts. So again, they're not, in their mind, they're cleaning up society. That's where I would say somebody like Eric Prince would be if he was part of it. Where Project Veritas, I mean, these are CIA type people. That's where their mind, I'm not saying they're doing it, but that's where their mind would be if they were doing it. And they could use the United Arab Emirates to do it. So again, there is problems with all those people and their connections. No, what it is they get hooked up with these rich people all across the globe, and now they're the friends, they're the in people, and then people like myself get killed because I wouldn't accept something like that. So we are in, like I said before, post-United States. We are owned by wealthy people globally, and that includes our police departments, our CIA, our Marshal Service, our government services, our VA benefits, so on and so forth, to include narcotics distributors and sex traffickers. The United States no longer exists. It's just a bunch of warring tribes of wealthy people. It'll tear itself apart until it's gone. But Russia's doing the same thing, believe you me. And so is the Ukraine. And so is the UK. So on and so forth. Unknowingly harm somebody with witchcraft, I don't think that exists. It's what's called willful ignorance. But we're not doing, because they all walk around, we're not doing anything. But they're, devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers. And that does include, groups of people crazy making and gaslighting, what they call pranking. Meanwhile, somebody's addicted to heroin because they're enforcing. You can enforce a criminal enterprise with what's called crazy making and gaslighting. That's how the Marshal Service hits criminal enterprise the majority of the time before they seek other assistance. But again, it has led to suicide. That I mean, to the point of, these. I'm not going to say that money wasn't stolen. First, if you spycraft somebody, you can get them to steal money. Second, if they didn't steal the money, somebody steals it. And then they crazy make and gaslight that person. Oh, he's acting weird around the investigation. Must be him. Ah! They all know it. They're all pieces of shit that do it. So, because that's their drive. That was their drive in the Garmett's courthouse. They were criminals, major criminals, took major money from crime organizations. So they had to create a diversion. And the fall people. They do that with drugging and crazy making and gaslighting, but it's at the CIA level of effectuation, or even higher, because there's only so much official that'll be approved. So it would be like an unofficial CIA level of effectuation, which means the sky's the limit. And there were CIA involved. I would never have thought it. Never would have thought it in a million years. Well, they believed all these other people too, that they were the power and the protection. Then when they get unprotected, they go, well, Moore's doing it, or that over there is doing it, or it's the criminals. They can't do anything right. If you really look at statistics, they can't do anything right. Law enforcement cannot do anything right because they went over to evil and became it and worked for it. They really can't. I mean, just look at the statistics. It's horrible. Not the stats of the arrests. I mean, if you have 10 million people to arrest versus where it used to be 1 million, of course you're going to have more arrests somewhere along the way. No, it's bail reform that's doing that. So again, remember, they're going to point to the person that's innocent and say that they're guilty for the person that's guilty. And there will be some guilty people that will be outside of their criminal enterprise that'll be an opponent criminal enterprise, and they'll take them out also. That's the epitome of the United States. That's what's going on. Now, if you like your Bronco and you like your swimming pool and you like your house and F your neighbor and let your neighbor be addicted to drugs and be, sex trafficking going on, then fine. But you'll pay in hell, all of you. So again, that becomes sin for a season. As I told you, the rest was sin for a season. I even told you, I said, at this point, you're going to lose your money in the future. It's only sin for a season. I said, you need to reverse course, and then things will change in the other direction. So Trump did build up the nation, and you have to understand, COVID it could even have been a physical operation, knowing that the country was going to crash, and the spies overshot it. The criminal spies overshot it and created a pandemic so large they never thought it would exist like that. Because if you look at SARS, the first SARS, it's kind of it was like nothing. So they maybe thought they were going to start something like that, but a little larger, and then that would take the focus off of Trump being the person that crashed the economy by taking all that money out for himself and his cronies. I mean, what went on in Afghanistan and Iraq is exactly what went on in the Trump enterprise, right? Trump administration. We should call it the Trump enterprise instead of the Trump administration. Because he turn around and go, yeah, I'm here making money for people, making money for criminals. It's like when they stole that money from Iraq and Afghanistan war funds and said, oh, an accounting error. Yeah, they didn't log in that you took it and put it in your own bank accounts. Actually, they didn't do it that way. It was cash. They launder it in businesses and other things. Yeah, I knew somebody in Moss Service that had businesses. I'm sure he's into laundering, probably directly. Cartels, sex traffickers. Didn't care about nothing and nobody. But CIA loved him. He was their hitman on the scene. Most likely had sex with my ex-wife. That's like the consummation of their insanity on their victim. Having sex with women around their victim, where their victim, was an interest or something. Oh, that's that truck driver. Okay. I was talking to somebody this morning. I never figured out who he was. Well, the weather was gorgeous. Had to share the weather with someone. So he said driving up the road, and someone, I'm like, is he a truck driver? But there's always this truck here. Well, not always, but he's not on the road. And it's over here now, and it's idling. So I'm like, oh, okay. It'll be a little warm today, but it's nice and kind of less muggy. I mean, it's probably humid, but I don't even notice it. As muggy as it was yesterday, I don't even notice. It feels like a desert. So I guess the summer here is, I think it's at 20% muggy. So 20% of the summer, or the the warmer months, I guess from May through something like September or something, is going to be muggy, a chance of mugginess. But 20% of that. Some places were like 40% or 50%. I'm like, I never forget, I went to New York with my ex-wife and the kids to visit one of her friends. I don't remember how she was a friend. She had a place in Flushing. I mean, it's the first time I was introduced to very small apartments. Like, this is what? That's an apartment. We pay, I forget what they paid. Probably as much as I'm paying here, right? Nah, I don't think it was that much. I think it was like, back then, it was in the 90s. It's like $750 for like probably 200 square foot. It's probably like $1,000 now or more for 200. New York's got crazy apartment prices. I never saw an apartment so small. I was like, oh my God, is it an apartment? You know the secret to that guy, the apartment dude? How much do you pay for rent? He's nice to everybody. He's like, oh, hi. Oh, this is so cool. I went, it's not dead in here. It is mine. He's insulting them. Nah, he doesn't do that. He just tries to be nice to everybody. He's cool, and that other dude that does everybody's lawn. But it's like Saint and Torment Me. You don't even see the torments. You can't tell. I love cutting grass, and I love charity. So you combine the two, and you get that guy that cuts grass. I forget what his business is called, but he looks for homes that are really bad off, and then some of them are just disabled people. Some of them are people down on their luck. Some of them are just vacant homes and stuff. There's something about, I mean, the rhythmic, hypnotizing. Maybe it's satanic. I don't know. So they put in the head the other day, God's trying to get you to. This is, like I told you, there's a CIA Christianity thing. That's the best way I know how to explain it. God's trying to get you free of material goods. Meanwhile, the person that's projecting or the people that are projecting that are getting paid $1 million if I like go homeless and have no belongings. That's what's actually happening. They're projecting all that stuff, and then they're torturing people while they're housed, so they become unhoused. It's really an effort that's going on. Police departments are part of it. Police departments are part of the reason you have homeless people. They're devils that keep the community safe by putting. Actually, I had conversations in mine with real investigators, like ones that never sold, and they're in a pretty good way for now, and they still have their job. And some police officers, and they go, we know you're not that type of person, but what they're doing to your life is not what we would do, because number one, where you're at, even though it has cameras, and very few cameras of that, but it has cameras. They said, mostly for parking lots, I think. They said, we wouldn't want you there because there's a transient community. So there's people in and people out. If you were like a real criminal, we wouldn't want you there because you would have access to victims that maybe we wouldn't be able to account for. And again, like I explained, sex offenders will rape and kill a child within 5 minutes. So they could actually just go and grab a child, jump into a room. I think that actually happened in one of the cases. And then by the time they were able to get them safe, they were dead. So the cops were like, we wouldn't even want you to. That part's like BS, that we should put you there and put you out. And then they said, even worse, putting you out on the street. We would even have less accountability. Like, we want you in a nice apartment somewhere with nice neighbors that answer our questions. And that last part is actually new, just to show me that is them. So again, that was kind of a psychic verification, because I didn't say that the last part, they did. Because if we go to this place, some places they ask questions, they don't answer our questions, and that's one of the places. But if we go to another place, they'll answer our questions, and so we would want you in the place you actually wanted to move to, because those people generally answer our questions. So again, nothing's true about what they say, but nobody's allowed to say anything because they're the money people. They come in and they bring their money, and they bring remuneration, and they make your career big, no matter how bad you are. Oh yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, how I was a terrible marshal and military person and a bad correctional officer. I mean, they're all full of shit. They just say it. They lie about everything. It's just insane. They're compulsive liars, pretty much. But that's because what triggers it? All the crimes they committed, all the murders they committed. Like I told you, they run around, they take the murders and the crimes and of paying people and their people, and put it on the victims that they want to kill out, and they get to stalk them 24/7 and torture them. And then if the person commits suicide, or even if they die, they go, okay, case is cleared. That's how they do it. And then they look like wonderful, right? They've cleared 5 to 10 cases all of a sudden. Oh, great stats! They killed, they killed the person, and then they, even if it's suicide, it's murder. Everybody knows they're attempting to murder that person. So that's what triggers a lot of it, but that's their problem, not mine. They'll go to hell for it, not me. And that's the key. So I keep an eye on some of the radical. Like if a license plate pulls up like this guy's from Wisconsin, he looks okay, but I always keep an eye on that because there's some big nut bags in Wisconsin. They work big contracts up there, and then sometimes they just do it for community's sake, but it's insanity. So if you see a volatile, again, that darn law enforcement logic. They're trying to teach you illogic, and what is it? What is illogic? It's ill. So part of like a radicalized community, again, you see a lot of volatility in Wisconsin. You don't see so much here. I mean, when you see some inner city people just kind of, I mean, protest is a thing in the city, and that's how it works. Now getting pretty rough up there in New York. But when you have volatile states like Wisconsin, could be something. Tennessee, like something recent in the news too. Now again, the spycraft operators could use that to kind of direct focus away from them into some other place. But like Tennessee happened, and Tennessee plate showed up. Well, again, like I said, in the city, it's normal to protest, but in some of these places, and that's what was happening in the teachers thing. Let me heal this woman. It's really weird. The women that walk with their dogs and stuff, they're cursed pretty bad to have a crime visited on them, a violent or sexual crime. So I heal them, but I just noticed that that's pretty much common because I've been healing them. I just thought it was something neutral. I didn't think too hard about it. Just let me heal, and that's it. But some of them are cursed real bad, and that's why they're out there actually walking their dog, or their life might be different. Again, when I speak about children that are unsupervised being outside, that's part of a curse on the family. And again, we see it, unsupervised children, something happens, and then the cop arrests the mother and the father. Right. So again, there's a minimum in God's judgment. There is a minimum. I used to be in law enforcement also. They used to really take a person's situation into consideration, especially with child neglect or something like that. But you'll see people that, in God's judgment, haven't even started their thought process on this planet. Therefore, they can't be held accountable. Islam itself said 24 years old. 100%. And he might be going to the hospital here. I don't know why he would be down here, but it looks like he's got something going on medically. I hide my pain much better than he does. But that's maybe because I spray my body with stuff all the time to loosen it up. Now, my wife and I, we panicked when our kids were out of our sight. I mean, when they were at a friend's parent, we didn't. But like we were at a store and we couldn't find a kid, I mean, we don't let them. We didn't let them out of our sight. That's one thing about my wife and I were great at, security. But she lost it. I mean, they operated. I never knew my nation would be like this. In a million years, I never thought. And they make everything look natural. Like I said, the person that hit her may have actually been a government person. I'm beginning to believe that she may have actually had neurological damage, like I did, and that she didn't need any surgery, and she just needed to get to the modality. I can't even get to massage. I mean, you just can't. I mean, you're just going to make a false statement, and somebody's going to pay him $1 million for it. I mean, people say, well, why don't you just do it? Because that would be playing into their hands. But had I been paid extra disability benefits, even $300, I know it doesn't sound normal to you, but it's real. Even $300 would have gotten me somewhere. I probably wouldn't even need massage if I'd have gotten the $300. But I've been able to move on a couple of things faster without worry about the money, and then everything would have worked. I should have 100% VA disability, but like I said, the criminal organizations control whether you get it or not. And if that criminal organization happens to be the CIA, then so be it. That's who it is. I'm not here to play games with idiots and criminals and devils. Well, I love the green trees here, though. Look gorgeous. It went green real quick this year. So you're actually like further south, you know that, even though it's not like too hot here. Your weather now is like a little further south, you know, like maybe 100 miles further south, but maybe even further than that. Used to be cooler here, I guess. So it is what it is, and isn't what it isn't. That's the thing to remember about the truth. It is what it is, and isn't what it is. You don't have to know what it is. I mean, obviously, in certain circumstances, you have to know, but it is what it is, and isn't what it isn't. I'm trying to heal. I think it's a Walmart person here. The system will tell me who to deal with. Give me a nudge. I'm just trying to see if I can notice her. Oh, she has her mask on. I can't tell. Oh, that one hit. Yeah, that was pretty weird. So we have to be careful because the system is corrupt when they do catch cartels doing certain work, and it doesn't mean it's the Democrats. Republicans protect drug distributors and sex traffickers also. So again, they might cover up a cartel hit in the United States, and nothing against Spanish people or anything like that, but we need to be aware of the truth. They might call it, like that one, they called it a drug distributor hit. Some Venezuelan taxi driver was killed, and they called it a drug organization when it may have been a cartel hit. It may have been an organized crime cartel hit, which is very important to know because, you know, next thing you know, it'll be like Trank. Oh, there's this thing called Trank. Oh, there's this thing called cartel hits everywhere. And we all got paid $1 million not to say anything. I mean, that's what's actually happening. So we need to make sure that that works. Definitely politicians are being paid by narcotics distributors. So what's that? You know, they have the donor system. The donor system was around before the Mexican cartels, but it's a corrupt system because people that pay the money, people in the Marshal Service used to do political donations to get up over the other employee and screw off his job and screw him off or screw her off. So, you know, I knew that game, but, you know, I didn't have money for donations, and probably because I wasn't corrupt and they were. But that's what they did. Is they plugged into the donor system, and then they get most favored citizen status. It may not even be citizens. That's how it's worked. Part of how it works, but that's like every society. So we had cops that went overseas and met all these foreigners. And no, don't listen to the Republicans play that game. You know, they say everybody else is what they are. I mean, they are globalists. Republicans are globalists, or they wouldn't be there. There's just differing, you know, like I said, you know, organizations of globalness. Is there anything wrong with globalness when we have people suffering like it do? I do agree with the Republicans, but they're not part of that. You know what I mean? If they had their way, less people would have charity. But like Biden spending all this money on Ukraine's getting pretty silly, considering, you know, I couldn't get an extra $300 in VA benefits. And that's what they want to actually. That's a cue. That's how they act. Like, I'm just getting food stamps. I'm not getting combat veteran benefits, and I'm not getting law enforcement retirement. They want to act like it's something else. Like I'm receiving food stamps. But yet somebody like Trump is the big hero, right? And they got these big photos of him like he was actually in the military because he took money. Believe me, Trump took money, and that's what shaped his foreign policy. So that's all that was, a money making scam. And then, of course, famously, the cover story is he's famously a hawk or some of some sorts. I mean, Putin just flew right in this into Saudi, not into Syria with the Iranians, and we did nothing. Again, also narcotics, the biggest haul, and I don't know how long for the DEA, and Trump lets him go. Because why? Because he's the protected political class, the ones that are actually responsible for the narcotics making it where it does. And that, when you got cops chasing me around, that's who they're part of. Same people that were let the DEA, what was that guy, the general of the Mexican army go. The DEA made a case that he was dealing narcotics. And then, of course, there's probably selective enforcement, and that's where they were trying to go next. Again, there's selective enforcement here. I mean, even Matt Fogg brought it up, but it's worse than what Matt Fogg even says. Because they make you believe it's just the rich people. There's a whole entire organized crime circuit destroying the United States. And sometimes they call it government, sometimes they call it corporate world, sometimes they call it your neighbor. It's patterned after the Soviet Union, 100%. These cops driving around harassing people are like the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. And don't be confused with AOC and all those people in communism, although if they could get them there, they would. And it looks like they're trying to take them there. That's what they're looking at is socialism, where people are taken care of. The Soviet Union did not take care of people. They used that dole, made themselves the only game in town, and you had to do what they wanted, or they took everything you had away. And no, not Q Klux, because you also had nut bags like we have here. They'll just throw somebody in jail because they want to have sex with a woman around that person. That type of thing. There's plenty of FBI agents like that. Plenty of Homeland Security agents like marshals and so on and so forth. Local police, state police. But that's okay, because they're saving us and protecting us from all those people that are like that. But it's fake. Face it, it's fake. You can't be the real thing when you're fake. Trump's a fake. Trump walks around calling everybody else fake. Trump's a fake. Everything out of Trump's mouth is fake news. See, again, there are things that they're doing so they can come down here to our level, the people level, and kill us and say it's part of the bigger thing. In other words, they're killing me because of Trump. No, they're not. Is Trump part of it? Yeah. They're killing me because of a contract to kill me. Been there for at least 25 years. But they've been operating for probably 35, maybe even 40. There's questions as to whether CIA or someone in law enforcement was paid to try to take my family out, because my father was like a Cold War freedom fighter, just like private sector based in the United States, but was working that effort with his group of people. So again, once you get thrown into that grist mill, why don't they do my brother? They do my brother, but he does what they want. Does that mean that they would let me live? No. because I went in the government. If I wasn't in the government, this would never would have happened at this level. It's a payback for me going in the government and helping everyone and being honest and not doing my coworker dirty. Believe me, they're psychotic. They have to make the person that's normal more psychotic than them, or they don't feel okay with who they are. They just hate you by the nature of being an honest person in government that works hard. They never gave me anything over anyone else. I didn't even have the government power to have my job. I was never in. That's why I didn't wake up. In fact, I had to buy the house with my own power. They tried, well, we let you in when you gave me a house? You know how long it took me to finally find one, and now I know why? You were stalking me and blocking it. It got really dirty when I sent a message to them online and said, you're stalkers. You need to stop what you're doing. It's criminal stalking. And it was. Yeah, but plenty of them got big jobs all around the world. They passed the Earth test. So I guess I wouldn't say Earth, the fake Earth test. This planet's test. They succeeded in going to hell. It's real. Like, the Bible doesn't make any sense. That's why young people don't understand the Bible, because the worst people in the world are the people in churches, if you read the Bible. Because the majority of the people outside the churches are Ezekiel 34. You know, you talk about these millennials that are sitting at home and they don't go to work. They don't go to work because you're cursing them out of work. They go to work, it gets worse for them. If they're not gay or trans, it gets worse for them. But then you tell them that they shouldn't be that. Again, who's the accuser? Satan. Satan is who they are, and they're accusing these LGBTQ people of being evil and all these things. And if they can make them evil, they will. Some Russian they're not specialized, what is that thing, FSB? Their buddies in the Russian FSB will do stuff like that. Now you hear the Russian FSB, if you can't stand America, come here and live in my village. Putin's going to build a village for Americans that are pure Christians. Zig. He's half the reason people can't be heterosexual and have a normal life. He's tried to convince me in the mind that he had nothing to do with trying to make me gay or any of that stuff, but I don't believe it. His system was part of it. Again, reasonably foreseeable. God works in reasonably foreseeable. That's where our legal system came from. Now, the people applying our legal system are bullshit. But a lot of the terms in our legal system came from God. God, when he judges somebody, what could you reasonably foresee would happen from what you're doing? If you don't have no vision, then you're not going to be judged by God that way. Again, Ezekiel 34, Jesus said, if you're asleep, your sins are not judged. I mean, it doesn't even start. And you're all telling all these people that are asleep that you keep asleep and keep in poor life and keep their mind gummed up with spycraft, witchcraft, and demonic projections from your churches, from your temples, from your synagogues, gurdwaras, mosques, etc., as well as governments. And you know you do. Again, willful ignorance. You say they're all going to be judged. Again, I could sit here and show you how you all spoke and did things and say things that actually require God to judge all of you. You made the rules. But they're all bullshit, of course. Just like you're all like the Inquisition. But you're a spycraft Inquisition. Which means the Inquisition, again, when I said Inquisition, you saw something valid, right? That's because this is what the planet thinks it was. Not valid. A bunch of witches and devils that took over the church. And they called everybody else a witch and devil. Sound familiar? That's why Jesus laid out a certain route for the church. Yes, greater things shall you do, but becoming the Inquisition or the Nazi Party in a spycraft fashion is not one of those greater things. Oh, I'm just a partner. That's all they told me. I was a partner. Willful ignorance, reasonably foreseeable what you were doing to that person. You found joy in the unrighteousness of causing other people to have issues, to fall, to have bad life, not attend your church because you pushed them out. You found pleasure in unrighteousness. No, no, they do because they're doing drugs and they got porno, but that's from you pushing them away and not allowing them to come in. Now, that's a strange term, but I explained it earlier. Seeing, and I said God's TMI, and seeing is TMI, and it's just a lot. You got to be a very responsible person as far as, I guess you got to be a caring person to accept all of this all at once. So, come in has a sexual overtone, right? If you listen to the word. Now I say it, and they'll say, oh, see, every time he said come in now, that's what he meant. This is news to us. You're the one that's doing this. They're trying to block me. So thank you for coming. Ooh, what? Some people use that. Because why? When you're in a gathering place and you're connecting to people, you have a certain feeling. And there are people that do have inside orgasms. Remember that one woman? She was an axe murderer. She orgasmed while they were killing someone. They interviewed her. She even admitted to it. But I think she was like, I think it was one of those cases where the man was responsible and she was just like kind of brainwashed into it. Of course, she killed somebody and she's doing life, but. So again, that's part of what's happening in the community. Like you're walking in the church, you're like, I don't feel nothing. What's going on here? This ain't nothing. Because they're not letting you connect in. They're actually having ecstatic, I guess the way we could call it, a ecstatic feeling. But they're blocking you from receiving it. But what they're trying to connect you to is sexuality. Okay, so the Hare Krishnas say it this way, and again, I knew this before I went to see them. They say that everything is God's energy, and no matter what you're doing, you're seeking God because this is all God's energy, but you're finding God in all the wrong places. So again, it's something like that. So they want you to find that only in having sex instead of walking down the street with another 3 people going, wow. I think the signs are that, and guys remind me of something in the back because I had a question while I was saying it. The millennials are beginning to connect, and I think there is some reduction in sexuality, wanton sexuality, right, or sexual interaction. So again, that may be a sign that they're receiving some pleasure from simple company, from just connecting to things. And I was thinking, but what about the other awakenings that God says, I just want them comfortable. If we can't save the planet, then I just want them comfortable until it's gone. And of course, that's all God wanted for me, but if you're not going to stop, then God's not going to stop either. And I'm not God. There's more proof that I'm with God than Jesus. Why? Because you saw it with your own eyes. Wait a minute. What was that? Peter. Those that do not see yet believe. But see, I brought that up. That has seer meaning. When I woke up, Jesus was like, and God were like, that was a blessing for you personally, because you, like the other people, they saw in life and then they came to the church and like they had the inside orgasm. Woo! This is great. Again, they call it ecstatic when it's, spiritual. Me, I'm just, I could feel the Holy Spirit every so often, but it wasn't the same thing. They're gathering together for an earthly feeling. They really are. But yet, like I said, the people at the bar have the same thing going on. It may actually be better in their relations with other people. So these people, they're going to drugs to get some sort of relief from something. Again, that's one of the big things they were hoping for me when they injured me and all that I would start using narcotics. They did it to my wife, and her doctor ruined her. Somebody probably told her doctor to do it. Oh, it was way too much. She was falling down and all those type of things. And then when I went with her doctor one time. I was like shanghaied. I drove her. I forget why I had a driver, but I drove her, and they both started making fun of me because I said she was on too much narcotic to her privately. 'Cause I saw the change. And then when I left, she said she reduced her medication for a while. I suspect that that failed. And again, she had a miserable childhood, um, miserable life. I did some good stuff for her, and then everything crashed. But they could have been responsible for all of it, actually. There's nothing they won't do, so don't try to play that game. That's where they go, well, we do have limits, even though they don't have any limits. Same pieces of garbage. All right, it's been an hour. I got my hour walk in. Everything's coming together on the project. I found some new, it was really neat because I found some stuff I couldn't find on Amazon. I found some new molding and things like that, onlays. Not the highest quality, but again, um, it already has certain factors on it that make it what do they call that? It's got shabby chic almost. It's not made to, it's got some like aging on it. It was put on there on purpose, so it'll fit. And it's just like, this is actually just my mezuzah anyway. No, God's angry on that one, believe me. Stealing my mezuzah. But see, for spycraft operators, that's how they do it. They know that has an effect. They don't want to believe that I was drugged. They don't want to believe it. But of course, certain people know. They just want to try. So again, there's a difference of knowing and disproving it. That's actually what a lot of them are doing. They know it's true, but they want to disprove and discredit the truth. So they're not even. I mean, they're past the point of just not liking the truth. They want to discredit the truth, knowing it's the truth. So it's kind of overcast. It feels nice now. It cooled down. Actually, got a little breeze. Yesterday, I was like, "Yeah, this is horrible, Maggie." Felt like hell. I was like, "Ah, I'm in hell." So it is what it is. I have to pay my rent again. They got me, believe me. But it's metaphysical. I paid an extra week's of rent, and then I couldn't get into the few apartments that were open without losing $350, and I can't. I just can't do it right now because I'm building the ark. So again, even when like when when the physical fails, when the metaphysical, it's like all that they do that messes it all up. Well, they're devils, man. Plenty of cops are devils. Again, I never believed that until I went to this course. And a cop that was retired that ran a pistol range told me how evil some cops are. And he said, "Don't be like that." He's doing his ethics part of the armed security certification. So there's a lot of older black adults in Philadelphia that have that information. Because they were in the class with me, and there was other classes. Honest cop. But see, it had to be a different world. Because if he had a pistol range and he said that, today they wouldn't let him have a pistol range. He drives a Corvette, always drives a Corvette. Forget his name. Nice guy. I mean, it was a good class. I mean, he was a good instructor. Tired cop. I forget what his claim to fame was besides the range. He had a medal. I can't remember. He was the pilot for what's that guy's name? Wilson Good. And he dropped the bomb on move. No, he didn't. Oh, when the days were simple. So you see, there was a change. So again, that's part of the gaslighting that law enforcement didn't really change that much. It changed a lot. 'Cause they wouldn't let him have a range if he's telling about the abusive officers. He gave us examples of use of force. And then, of course, he used force. I told you on that special forces Vietnam vet that was like, one of the real people that was a real martial arts guy. And he swung as hard because he's pretty thin. He swung as hard as he could with his billy club, and I think he broke his upper arm or something like that. He said he would have killed us. And I guess he was bigger too. He was like like one of those guys, like 250 pound, all muscle, 300 something like that. It was just him and his partner. And I think they did. I think he did get into I think they did get into a fight. So they were already actively in a fight, and then he pulled back as far as he could with his club and went bam in the side of the upper arm, and it went. That's it. No more upper arm. And that's how he took him down. But I mean, the guy was all like wigged, so right. That's how they want to get me. Actually, when a cop comes off, I was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing? Can I help you, sir?" Ma'am, I haven't seen too many ma'ams since I brought up the fact that I saw a ma'am. They hide female cops from me because we fall in love at first. Like, oh, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Yeah. I'm a con artist, right? I don't fall in love, right? Because I'm always planning on how to rape the world. Don't go by more. I'll think about raping you. Sleep with your gun once you see more, because I'll come by and rape you. Why is it in a Latino accent? Because that's the kind of stuff that the cartel sex traffickers spread throughout the world and pay people millions of dollars to regurgitate. So don't let them tell you that it's about doing something good. Most disgusting pieces of shit that have ever been on the planet. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.